Welcome to Lifescapes Podcast, where our mission is to help shape the future through the past. Each week, we will bring you stories of perseverance and share life lessons to help you navigate life's tough challenges. I hope you'll join us each week as we share true stories of real people from the real world. All right, so today we're here with our podcast, Lifescapes. And our goal of this podcast is to bring real life stories from people that we know, or maybe we don't know, but the goal is to bring things that they've learned throughout their life that maybe will help you navigate some things that you're dealing with in your life. So today we have our friend here with us, Jamie, and Jamie and I know each other from 8th grade on up. So
yes,
I came to Stanley Junior High middle of 8th grade.
Oh, what a wonderful time. One way walking in the halls.
Oh my gosh. And so our junior high, which is now called middle school, it had one-way halls.
It did.
Is your impression of the one-way halls because people fought so much, so they tried to make it harder to catch up with the person you wanted to kick their butt?
Well, not so much for me. It was the fact that normally my class was the next class over, but I had to go all the way around just to get to the one class.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrible.
So when I came to Stanley Junior High, I came from a junior high called Greer, and it was super snobby.
Oh, in the gas house.
Yeah, in the gas house. So super snobby. I was nobody. Right. I was just one of, a loser. But most of the people knew my dad's situation. So that kind of, Lord Jesus, carried with me. So when I came to Stanley, I had like a clean slate. Right.
Mm-hmm,
and so I just remember I came in there, and while my first couple of weeks, every girl wanted to kick my butt.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember feeling like I found my people.
Well,
right?
It was funny because I don't know if you know this, but I didn't start Stanley Middle until the middle of 7th grade.
Okay. So you were in the same boat.
Yeah, I was. And I came from the school's not anymore, but I came from Charlotte.
Okay.
So I went to what was Spa Middle School.
Okay.
And I had a sister who was in the 9th grade.
Okay.
And all the girls wanted to beat me up because their boyfriends broke up with them.
For your sister.
For my sister.
Oh, nice. Thank you,
It was a good time.
sis.
It was a good time.
So you came to Stanley. So how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have one sister.
One sister who's 2 years older.
19 months.
19 months
Yeah.
older. Okay. All right. So you and I knew each other from 8th grade on up.
Mm-hmm.
We took a break in adult life just because things were doing adult things. And then in the last few years, we've come back together and just had a blast.
Full circle.
Full circle.
Full circle.
The kids cannot get enough of Jamie. When I
sweet.
say I'm going to eat dinner with Jamie and they're not invited, it is hell to pay.
But they're always invited.
Well,
Your kids are the
no, they're
bomb.
not invited. Sometimes Sammy is like tuned in like like Joey Behar trying to get the dirt.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So they do love them some Jamie.
Well, I love them.
So we just wanted to kind of go through your life because you've dealt with some major things and came out the other side, living your best life.
I'm trying to live my best life.
Do you think you're living your best life now?
Well, I think so. And the reason I say it is because, my mother always told me when I was younger that you don't really know who you are until you're in your mid-30s.
Yeah.
And of course, when, I was younger, I was like, she has no idea.
Right.
But that's not true because she is absolutely correct. But now in my 40s, full circle.
I feel like 40s are great.
I wouldn't change it.
No.
I wouldn't change my life really at all.
What do you think for you as a grown up, like, what do you think is one of your biggest fears now?
One of my biggest fears is losing either one of my kids or my grandbabies.
Yeah. I think that is, compared to when we first knew each other, our biggest fear was somebody breaking up with us.
Which happened a lot for me. It was a constant thing.
Oh my gosh.
We're going together. We're not going together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And So what's funny to me is now, like middle school, if you're dating somebody, you never speak to them again.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. I think we were more touchy-feely in our days than they are in middle school now. Thank you, Lord, they're that way now, because I guess it was that country atmosphere.
Well, then too, we didn't have, I mean, I thought I was big news when I had a pager right out of high school. Here's my pager number. Beat me.
I remember a kid named Chad carrying his bag phone.
Oh my God!
Yes. $1.79 a minute.
Oh yeah.
Don't call me on it.
Unless it was what was the big thing after 9:00?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, you could call anybody that's on your like Verizon to Verizon or whatever.
Yes. Cell to cell, 3 minutes. Yep. Oh, heck.
But yeah, I remember, I think it's just social media has in the accessibility that kids have nowadays.
Yeah.
It ruins it.
Yeah. It's just like they don't want to get their license either, right? They're in no hurry to get their license.
Right.
Because they can just stay home and FaceTime, or mom will Uber them wherever they need to go. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of okay with some of these things. They deal with a lot of different pressures than we did, right? Like if you and your friends that were also my friends went out, I didn't know about it. So what I didn't know didn't hurt me. Now, if your friends go out without you, they're Snapchatting, they're Instagramming. I mean, they're letting you know you weren't invited.
You're exactly right. But you know what? There's some adults that are living in that life right now.
I have really tried to curtail my adult FOMO, because I'm like, wait a minute, why wasn't I invited to that? And then I'm just like looking around, sitting here as I'm with my husband, having dinner. I'm like, who cares? And I've just gotten to a place where I'm like, you know what? If I don't get invited, they're missing out.
That's
right.
True. That's true.
And I think like with you, I know you and I might not see each other for 6 months, right? But I'm like, I know I can pick up the phone and Jamie and I can get together and not skip a beat.
Well, and I think that's the difference between of what friendship actually is.
Yeah.
It's not acquaintances. I have many, many, many acquaintances.
Yeah.
But my friendships are real. It doesn't matter if I see you every week, if I see you once a month, if I see you once a year. My actual friends I can pick up with, and it's like time never stopped.
Yeah.
It just keeps on going.
I know.
So, I mean, it's about the quality, I think, of the friendship versus the quantity.
The quantity. I feel like I've got a lot of people that have lots of friends, and it's quantity. And I feel like I'm in this time, I'm just focused on people that actually want to be with me.
That's right.
And we were just talking about how like, you should come with a warning label, right? Because it's like, I'm a lot, right? And I'm going to lay it all out there. I'm going to be, and when I get uncomfortable, I get super red, right? And then I get super like silly and like trying to make you laugh, right? When I get uncomfortable. And I know half the time that turns people off, but the people that love me are like, oh, there she goes.
I mean, it's classic Kara. I mean, I think I use my, it's a defense mechanism.
Right.
For sometimes my comic relief.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when I don't know what to say, well, I mean, laughing's better than nothing.
Absolutely.
So I just fall back to that.
Yeah. And you get up in your hole. You like to have your space. It's private.
Oh, I have to. Yeah.
Yeah. And you live Lincolnton now.
I do now in Lincolnton.
And now, that's a little bit away from everybody. Ain't nobody dropping in on you.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, and I think that's smart, because you know now what your boundaries are. And you've set
absolutely. Those. It took me 44 years to figure it out.
Right. I know. I'm telling you. So, okay. So let's go back. Okay. So were you raised in Charlotte?
Well, from what I've been told, we moved to Charlotte when I was 6 months old.
Okay.
And at the time, my dad worked for the railroad.
Okay.
And so we moved, and then we came back, and I went to like Westerly Hills Elementary, right. And then we started Spa Middle School, and I played a lot of softball when I lived in Charlotte. And then my parents separated, and we moved back to Stanley, which is originally where I'm from.
Okay.
And they were separated for a while, and And then my parents got back together. And so that's how we came back here, because my grandmother, who was living at the time, she stayed with us as well.
So in those early, like, let's say 0 to 12 years, I mean, do you remember being a happy kid? Everything was good? Or what do you remember about that?
Well, I mean, just normal stuff. Like, I remember, like, I remember my very first friend outside of my family, and we're still friends today. She lives in Florida.
Oh, nice.
And her name's Teresa, but we call her Vern. I mean,
hey, you know why?
I mean,
of course you would.
Why not? And I remember, I mean, it was a happy childhood, you
right.
know, and I remember, playing in the backyard, and I remember my sister being, mean to me, but no one else could be mean to me.
Right.
I remember, like my parents, we had chows. We bred chows when I was younger. God, those dogs scare me.
They're so mean.
They are mean.
A chow was created by the devil. You know why?
Possibly.
Because it is so beautifully cute and fuzzy. You just want to get up in that first.
And
they'll chew your ass up. They
but
will.
Don't.
I got bit by a chow too. I
mean,
think they were an 80s breed, weren't they? Like everybody wanted a chow.
I think it was a fad. But that's not the craziest animal we had. I remember one time my dad said he came in, and it was dark outside, and he woke me up to go outside and help him, and he caught a possum.
Oh.
And do you realize that possums eat dog food and they're okay with that?
Yeah.
And this one, you could pet it and hold it, and why? I don't know.
Well, I'll blow your mind. We had a skunk named Possum.
Stop.
So you can't make that up.
Kindred spirits.
Larry had his stink gland removed.
Okay. Larry, he went that far?
Oh, I'm surprised he didn't use that as a way to torture, yet another way to torture me. But we had a skunk named Possum. So as I grew up, I was like, we had a pet possum. No, it was a skunk. I'm like...
I did not know that about you, though.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We had a skunk, we had owls, we had hawks, we had ferrets, we had a wolf who bred with the dog and made a little half.
Seriously.
Then we had oh, come on. What was I going to say? A spider monkey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Monkeys.
A spider monkey. That monkey, his name was Charlie Brown. And my mom has a million stories about Charlie Brown, but apparently he liked to drink Coke and eat those little sandwiches you get at the gas station. You know, the little triangle sandwiches?
Yes, the vending machine sandwiches.
Yeah, my dad can't pass up one of those sandwiches, and he smoked cigarettes.
Stop.
Yep. He was quite the character. But anyway, so back to you guys bred chows.
Yeah.
Living your best 80s life.
Yeah, she wasn't a good mom, though. The dog wasn't. Her name was China. And she wasn't a good mom.
No.
She really wasn't. Like the first time she was what you call a blue, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, a blue chow, but she looked gray.
Dark gray.
But her skin was blue.
The bright red tongue or black tongue.
Purple tongue.
Purple tongue.
Yeah. And
okay.
she was bred with this really big, I'm telling you, he looked like a bear. His name was Bo.
Oh,
and he was a huge, just black fur ball. Oh, he was amazing.
Was he sweet? Okay.
Sweet. China was not. And so the first time she had a puppy, I think she only had one red one, and it did make it.
Okay.
And then the second time she had 6 puppies, 5 girls and 1 boy.
Wow.
And you're talking about, did either of you ever watch Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas?
Yeah.
This is what they look like. I mean, oh my Lanta. It was so hard to get rid of them. So hard. We named every one of them. It was, just precious.
Just bouncing around like little fur balls.
Well, you would just hear click, 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 click. And you would see, and they were all in a line, just,
Oh my God.
Oh, just precious. And so I remember that. But really, my childhood consisted of softball.
Oh, nice.
From the time I was 9 years old.
So did they have travel ball back then like they do now?
Well, sort of. Not really, but sort of.
Yeah.
We played at West Meck Optimist.
Okay.
And at the time, you're thinking, okay, it's an Optimist.
Yeah.
But it was like I considered it expensive then.
Right.
Because I don't know how much it is to play at an Optimist now.
It's like $150 a season.
So this was like $55, $50 or whatever. And I'm thinking, woo,
that's pricey.
But, so if you were put on a team and then they picked all-stars, well, I made all-stars every year that I played for them. And so we would travel around and stuff. And, one of the funniest things that happened is we made it to the regionals and we had to go to Atlanta. And I want to say I was 11 or 12. I think I was 11, maybe 10. And, talking smack as a 10-year-old could, there was another team staying in our hotel. And I got into it, a verbal confrontation with another 10-year-old or 11-year-old, you're stupid, that sort of thing. Because, what do you say?
Your mama breeds chows.
Your mom breeds chows. Your dad has skunks. So I remember playing that team, and some of my buddies, on my team were, had my back, so to speak. And so this girl comes running around, and I played third base, and I wasn't a small kid.
Right.
I'm not a small adult, you know?
Right.
I'm solid.
Yeah.
And this girl hit me like a brick wall.
Wow.
But she bounced off, and they had to carry her off the field. I laughed my head off.
Oh, I bet.
My mom was laughing her head off. Now, okay, kids, it wasn't
start
funny.
Nothing ain't gonna be nothing.
Don't start none. And don't take a bite if you don't want the whole sandwich. I'm just saying. But yeah, so that was one of the funniest things. She sprung my thumb that time, but but I just remember playing a lot of softball.
That's
like a lot.
fun.
And my parents, God love them, because we didn't do family vacations during that time because you played softball. I played softball from the very beginning of March until the end of August every year.
Did your sister play too?
She did. She did. She just wasn't, I don't think, as into it as I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she resent having to go on the trips with you?
I don't think so. She never said she did.
Okay.
She beat me up regular, so it didn't really matter.
Got it out.
Yeah.
We handled business
either way.
then. We didn't drag it.
It doesn't matter if you're in Myrtle Beach or Gastonia, you're getting your tail kicked.
Right.
Jamie.
So when you moved to Stanley, do you remember feeling like that was a little bit of a different culture than coming from Charlotte?
Oh, it definitely was.
Did you feel like I did, where I felt like these are my people?
No.
You didn't feel like that?
No.
Okay.
No. Because honestly, if you would have first met me, you wouldn't have known if I was white or black.
Okay.
All of my friends, I had white friends.
Right.
But the majority of friends that I had in Charlotte were all black people.
Right.
And the best people.
Right.
And so when I came over here, the one thing that I learned is how to write.
Right.
Because I wrote sentences every night.
Oh, gosh.
One teacher even kicked me out of her class because in Charlotte at the time, we had what was called open discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had an answer, you didn't have to raise your hand. You could just talk about it. That's not how it was here. So I had to learn really quick, to raise my hand. And one teacher said that I was a troublemaker. So she didn't want me in her class. And so my parents had to come up to the school, and it was just torture.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. My mom told them they were going to start supplying all my paper if they were going to keep making me write.
I had to write sentences one time in Stanley Junior High for kissing a boy in the hall. And the sentence I'll never forget was, "I will not have personal displays of public affection. I will not have personal displays of public affection." Like 250 times.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mine were like paragraphs, little paragraphs.
Yeah.
And, I just saw a few weeks ago online this trick, like where you tape these pencils or whatever together and it writes all. Oh, man, if I'd have had that, I'd have been in business. I'd have been in business.
I'd love an entrepreneur.
Yeah, but my 14-year-old mind did not think that way.
No,
or whatever age I was.
I.
Right.
Will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one word at a time.
Yes.
Griping the whole time.
Oh, my God. Your hand cramping. Now, my hand even cramps writing little now, because writing a little bit because we don't do it anymore. Thank the Lord for typing.
You're exactly right.
Oh, my God. So you did not feel like you were, so was it awful? Was 7th grade just awful?
I didn't really I didn't really enjoy my school time here until I was in the 9th grade.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I had fun my 8th grade, with some of the friends that I hung out with and everything, but I don't really feel like I didn't feel like myself until 9th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we leave.
And then we left and
then there's high school. Yeah. Do you remember having a boyfriend in middle school?
Yes, I had a few. Jason, and then of course, Gus.
Oh,
yeah, he was funny. And then, but my very first boyfriend here, his name was Bo.
okay.
Yeah.
And did you get their Letterman jackets, or did you? We did that back then, didn't we?
We did that. Yeah, I did not. I wore Gus's some, and I think I wore Jason's some.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
I went to, so in 8th grade as a brand new student, I went to the Stanley Junior High dance.
Oh yeah.
With a kid named Jody.
Okay.
And I remember the Saturday after the dance on Friday night, I had girls calling me all day threatening to kick my ass.
Nice.
I mean, and at that time I was so new, I didn't know anybody. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't want to go to school on Monday. I was like, there were 3 of them that called me over and over and over that Saturday. He was dating so-and-so and he's cheating on her. And I just remember I'm 14. I'm at a new school. 3 girls, I didn't know he was dating somebody. 3 girls were calling to kill me come Monday morning. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to go in. That was so scary. And my mom said in my later years, why didn't you tell me about that? I was like, what am I going to say?
You're right. Well, my experience was my sister hung out with a girl named Christy, and it's oddly enough, Christy married our cousin Eric. So now she's family. Okay. And so I remember a few of the girls, they were in my gym class. 3 of them were in my gym class. And I thought, great.
Yeah.
So I went to my sister and I'm like, look, I don't know, if you like these boys or whatever, but these girls right here, they're all wanting to jump me after, gym. Right. And so my sister and Christy went and took care of business, which made it worse because one of the girls came up to me and she says, if I wanted to kick your tail, I'd kick your tail now. And I'm like, all right. I mean, what do you do?
Right.
And
this was a scrappy school.
Yeah.
Like
it could have been, yeah.
This school, we were known to throw down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, because even one of our mutual friends got his teeth knocked out.
That's true.
And I mean, that he was telling me that story, and I was just almost in tears thinking of how traumatic that was. Got his full teeth knocked out because some bully just felt like he needed to, show him who was boss. True. And this guy is the nicest guy. Even back then, I just remember him being a nice guy, not trying to ag anybody on. And so I just remembered thinking, I'm gonna throw down on Monday, and coming from my background, I was like, I can't back down. I'm gonna go down fighting. But nothing ever came of it. They just wanted to scare me to death, and it worked.
Well, we had the same, I don't know if you guys were raised this way, but my parents were like, you don't start it, but you finish it.
Dadgum better finish it.
Yeah, so I did fight in middle school. I don't know if you remember. I had to fight one time, and it was, well, you weren't there yet.
Oh, 7th grade.
Yeah, it was the week before we had field day because, I loved field day back then. I mean, why can't we have field day as adults? I would love to have field day.
Some field day.
Well, I mean, I want adult kind of things,
I'm so competitive. I have a very unhealthy level of competitiveness in my soul. Where like with my girls are not competitive. I'm like, oh my God. Why?
Like, you're so sweet. Why?
Why?
I mean,
crush them.
Like my grandbaby. I'm like, get in. And like when I watched her play soccer the first time, I was like, get in there. You can do it. And she's just like running out there like, yes, I'm here. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? Just do you.
Yeah.
Just
butterflies.
But I was so afraid that once I got into that fight that I wasn't going to be able to participate. And
do I know this person?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I won't say her name on.
Yeah.
But I do remember that there was a note that was written to me, and I don't know what was in the note. Honest to goodness, I just got so angry, and I'll say the name Alan.
Okay.
He read the note too, and I honestly, she could have called me a nice person and wanted to invite me for cupcakes or something. I don't know. And I was just so angry. And so I remember slamming my skinny locker.
Yeah.
I remember slamming that and then walking down the hallway and somebody yelling fight. And I walked up to her and I said something smart, and I think I told her I should slap the holy hell out of her.
Right.
And she said, well, slap me then. I took that as a invitation, and I pushed her face up against the locker. And the next thing I know, I'm being carried out by Mr. Morris.
Oh.
He's got me by my pants.
Right.
And he carried
by my
out,
britches.
He carried me out to Mr. Barkley.
Mr. Barkley, tell you to get off the grass.
Yeah, get off the girl.
Come on off the grass.
But immediately I'm thinking in my mind, oh my God, now I've got to tell my parents what I've done. And that scared me way more than going to, getting suspended. That scared me way more.
Did they just give you in-school suspension?
They did, and they set us beside each other.
Oh! And now, let me tell you something, and you probably know this because you're not too far out of the raising of your primary child. They don't play with that now. Mm-mm. If you get in a fight, you're out for a few days.
Well, I mean, now you can have charges pressed against you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And oh yeah, I put Kaylin in martial arts,
right?
And so I told her at some point, not after the first or second one, I was like, look, you can't just be fighting willy-nilly.
Yeah.
You only use this in self-defense because, I mean, I didn't want to be, prosecuted or her get some kind of something come against her because, I mean, she's a black belt.
Yeah.
Now. And I'm thinking, but there was a time when she was in high school, it almost, I was concerned for a person.
Yeah. Well, so you called or did they call your mom and dad, or did
Mr. Barkley called the next day? But I go home and that thing of where you get in trouble and I go home and no one's there. So now I have to sit there and bake in my own anxiety.
Right.
Of when my parents get home. That was the worst.
Oh my God.
So my mom comes in and I'm like, hey, I got to tell you something. And she was annoyed already.
Right.
And I said, I got into a fight today. And she wanted to know everything that happened. And I told her. So I was in my bedroom and I was sitting on my bunk beds and I was, doing my homework, and I heard my dad and I thought, oh God. So he comes in, he said, you got something to tell me? And I'm paraphrasing. And I said, yeah, I got in a fight today. He said, did you win? I said, yes, sir. And he said, okay. And so the next day, Mr. Barkley called and woke my mom up.
Ooh.
Yeah, he didn't feel too well after that little conversation. So I did get to participate in field day though. Okay. And then they put me in ISS the whole next week.
Okay.
And that was terrible.
Oh my God, that's like solitary confinement.
I mean, you're sitting in the auditorium and those little cubicle desks. Yep. Oh, it was horrible.
Remember they had it almost felt like a fishbowl. Like it was glass around you, so everybody walking through all day could see you. And I almost feel like now when they do just a suspension, I almost feel like that's better to do, because if you give them a suspension, they're just at the house. The parents are having to figure out what to do with them. And granted, it should be the parents punishing them, but we know in most cases, parents are laid back. I almost think in-school suspension's better because you're having to pay the piper, baby.
Oh, because you're embarrassed too, because you have to have someone walk with you everywhere you go.
Yep.
They have to, it's like hand holding just to go to the potty.
Yep.
Yeah, it was not fun.
Yeah.
I mean, but I didn't do it again, my whole high school. Yeah. I mean, my middle school, I didn't fight in high school either. I didn't have to.
My only fight was 7th grade.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah.
At a Ashbrook football game. Yep. And the girl hated my guts. You know, it's always your best friend that turned enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And she came up and wanted to brawl. And I said, let's do this. And she swung first. She did punch me in the head, but it was on after that. And then I got kicked out of the game. The police called my mom. The police, your daughter's been kicked out of the game for fighting. You need to come pick her up. They were at like a dinner party.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, super proud.
Yeah.
Super proud.
Super proud.
My maiden name is Martin. So, I mean, but, so you got through the 7th grade, 8th grade.
It was 9th grade, maybe. I was police escorted out of a basketball game.
I remember
that I played in.
Yeah,
you were there. You were cheerleading.
Yeah, I was a cheerleader.
Yeah, and
spirit fingers.
Yeah, that really happened.
Silent spirit.
And let's be clear, I made fun of you for cheering, but you knew I was making fun of you, and you were okay with that.
Yeah. It's so funny to me because I cheered 9th through 12th, and now I'm kind of like, I want you guys to be playing the sports, right? Granted, cheerleading is a sport.
It is.
Cheerleaders are on a whole nother level now. They're flipping and cutting
You guys
flips.
couldn't throw people and stuff when we were there. Not very often.
Yeah, we could only do it in the gym.
Right.
They wouldn't let us do it on the concrete out at the football games. But cheerleading has gone up a couple notches, and these girls are good. But I'm also kind of like, I've got a softball player and a basketball player, and I love watching that just as much. So yeah, I do remember the escorting out. I thought that was high school.
No, I didn't. The only sport I played in high school, I played softball one year.
Okay.
I think I played my 11th grade year.
Okay. So we go, we live our best life in 9th grade, the king of the school.
Oh, the Monogram Club. Remember that? Yeah. Where you get purchased by somebody.
Oh my gosh.
The hazing begins for 24 hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I forgot about that.
I got bought by a group of people.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was funny.
Wow.
I mean, that's how they made their money.
Right.
Because it was all in good fun, but you can't do that now.
No. Buying people, Lord Jesus.
I mean, you were bid on, and that's how the club made its money, and off you go.
Yeah. You know, I was telling my girls the other day a story about a kid named Raymond that went to our school, and he was so poor. Do you remember him?
I don't want to. I'm trying to think.
So when I first came to the school, he was just an outcast, right? And he was very dirty, like not dirty in the sense of not taking care of himself, but you could just, it was a way that you just knew he was struggling, right? And I remember him talking to me, and people were so cruel to him. They were just so cruel to him. And he had sent me a love letter, and I just, I was giving this example, not to say, hey, look how great I am, just to say, this kid gave me a love letter, and I said, oh, thank you. That was so sweet, right? Whereas another girl would have gotten it and used it to embarrass, hey, everybody, look at this. Right. Look at what Raymond wrote about me, and gave it to the jocks to make more fun of him. And what I was trying to get at is you single person, you as a single individual have the power to change somebody's day.
You're absolutely right.
Right? So like, I even go to my daughter's school, and I feel like the little middle school teeny bopper girls will look me up and down. And I'm thinking, if you have the confidence to size up this grown ass woman who you ain't going to make feel small, right? That ain't even in the cards. If you have the confidence to do that, what do you do to the other girls? Right?
Absolutely.
So, and I was just saying, even you don't have to be best friends with everybody, but you can smile and you can be kind, right? A kind word will change somebody's day. You don't know the battle people are fighting at home. So we'll talk about who it was offline, but he was just, I just always remember him, and I always wonder what happened to him, because it was just his days were not good. And I was thinking, God, if they're not good here, imagine what they're like once he gets home.
Right.
You know,
I mean, you have to build some really thick skin. I know I had to, and I had to for different reasons in high school.
right.
You know, when you have to figure out who you are and figure out who your friends are,
Right.
like figure out what that really is at that age.
Right.
I mean, it takes your childhood away.
Right.
In a lot of areas.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't especially when you don't have the same experience that other people are having.
Right. And
You know.
when you have somebody going through something, you know, and this hasn't changed,
Mhm.
right? When you have somebody making a life choice, or no matter what it is, coming out as gay,
Mhm.
or getting pregnant too soon,
Mhm.
or whatever it is, you have, instead of going, God, that must be awful hard.
Right.
That must
Right.
be really hard. No, I'm going to stand back. I'm going to judge you.
Right.
I'm going to take the pressure of everything you're dealing with, and I'm going to stack on top of that and
Right.
make it even worse.
Right.
Right. So I feel like that while we've progressed so much,
Mhm.
some things never change.
No, because if you look at it, if you go on a field trip with your kids or whatever, the mean girl moms and the mean guy dads, they're still the mean
They're
girl moms
still there.
and the mean guy
Yeah.
dads. I mean, there's still very much cliques,
Right.
you know, in parenting and stuff like that. But you just kind of figure out why.
Right. And I
You
have
know.
a t-shirt that I love this t-shirt, but it says, I'm not for everyone. Right. And I wore it to school because I was volunteering, and every kid in the 5th grade passed by me while I'm wearing this shirt. And one little girl is like, oh my gosh, I love your shirt. I was like, do you understand what that means? It means not everybody's going to like me.
Mhm.
And that is okay.
Mhm.
And I feel like of all the things I've come to terms with in my 40s, that is the one thing I'm finally like, all right, not
Mhm.
everybody's going to like me. And that, my friend, is okay.
And I told my daughter and my granddaughter, I talk to them normally every morning on the way to school, on their way to school,
Oh, I love
dropping her
that.
off. Oh, I love it. And now that my grandbaby has an iPad, she FaceTimes me.
Oh my God, she's so cute.
Love it.
The hair on that child.
It's ridiculous.
I'm mad about it.
Oh,
I'm
it's
mad
ridiculous.
about it.
Yeah, she still said, she says, is your friend going to be there? The one that she's fired?
Oh, no, she's so cute.
But she, I put it into, normally I say, you know, you can be the juiciest, most ripe, most beautiful peach in the world, but somebody's still going to hate peaches.
Yep, that's right.
And for my granddaughter, I said, you can be the shiniest, the most sparkly, the most cleanest, most beautiful unicorn in the world, but somebody's not going to like unicorns.
Yep,
And her response was, who don't like unicorns?
that's it.
And I was like, well, somebody don't.
Somebody.
You know,
Right.
but in her mind, I mean, 'cause she's only
so
6.
simple for them at that age.
Yeah. I mean, she has such a sweet, sweet spirit and heart about
Yeah.
her. And I hope she never loses that.
I know.
Because she wants to play with even the mean kids.
Yeah.
You know, she knows that they need to be, you know.
Yeah.
And so I've often said, I don't know what we did to deserve her.
I know.
I mean, because she's way sweeter than we are. Way sweeter.
You and your daughter are a lot alike.
A lot alike.
I love it. It was just like I was putting my youngest to bed the other night, and based on their behavior in the evenings, I can tell something happened at school.
Mhm.
Right. And I had bought her these Vans that were Nightmare Before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think there's never been a cooler set of Vans to hit the planet. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asking her, I was like, so, you know, putting her to bed. So you okay? Well, so-and-so told me she hated my shoes today. And I was like, wow, okay. Well, how'd that make you feel? Well, it really hurt my feelings. I was like, but we're not the kind of people that let somebody's words like that hurt our feelings. And here's why, because you were doing something that made her go, wow.
Mm-hmm.
She's feeling good about herself.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go knock her down a notch.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? You let her knock you down a notch. I was like, please, they're just words. And you just smile and say, well, that's just your opinion, isn't it? And just move on. I just wish there's some way we could impart our adult confidence on these babies, because their lives are so hard right now. But anyway, so let's circle back around, but this is good.
We've been on a tangent.
But this is good stuff, because this is the kind of stuff that I'm just like, what are we telling our, like, just the dance story about the 3 girls. I've told them that story, and I said, come to me. Like my mom would have, has said, why didn't you come to me? If it happens to you, you come to me. And I've told them, I said, you're having a hard time. Like, if it's so bad, I was like, we will jump on the airplane. We'll go to Disney World. I don't give a damn. Right? We will get out of here. There ain't nothing I'm going to make you waller in, right? To learn a life lesson.
Right.
So anyway, we were on 9th grade. So 10th grade, we move up to high school.
Yeah, 10th grade.
Our worlds collide. So as everybody that's listening knows, when you come to high school, you're merging multiple schools, and you're now got 2 very different populations of people.
Rival schools.
They
pit you against each other in middle school.
Coming together. Yet still our football team.
And like, here, get along. Here, get
Yeah. And so for us, the school we came together with were the super preps.
I thought so too.
Yes. Yeah. And we were the rednecks, and they were the super preps.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, we had to walk along the train tracks to get anywhere. So,
that's
of
true.
course,
that's fair.
We had one-way halls, so we wouldn't fight.
Yeah, that's true.
I would love for someone to tell us why the halls were one way. One of these days, maybe that someone knows why that was in place.
I mean, how many fights did it stop? Not many.
Not many. We'd brawl on a turn of a dime.
You're right.
So
10th grade was very difficult for me.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Okay.
Because that, I mean, I had boyfriends and stuff, but 10th grade is when I really got, I guess, when I lost my virginity.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I got pregnant.
Oh, my gosh.
And so
I didn't think it was 10th. I thought it was 11th.
It was 10th.
Okay.
And so he was a guy that I met at a teen dance club in Gastonia.
Oh, I know that one. Yes. Was it the one over there by the
It was the sports
buffet?
Nest.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And I met him, and he was older. He was.
You pulled that name out of the archive.
Like, I was on the bottom spectrum of the age to be able to get in, and he was on the top spectrum of the age to get in.
What was your age difference? You were
4 or 5 years old.
15 or 16?
I was 14 when we met.
Okay.
And we started dating when I was 15.
Okay.
And he was either, I want to say he was like 4 or 5 years older.
Okay.
I don't remember his age at this point. A lot of it I've kind of mentally blocked.
Okay.
Because it was, I don't want to say it was traumatic, but when you're a sophomore in high school and you are pregnant and you've known, and here's the thing, no one knew until I was 7.5 months pregnant. I mean, no one knew.
Even your mom and dad?
No. My sister didn't know. No one knew.
So when you got pregnant, how long till you knew?
It was, I started to feel different within the first month. I say that I knew after 2 weeks, but just something felt different.
Right.
And it wasn't like all of a sudden, bam, I have a stomach. No, it wasn't that. Because like I said, I've never been small, but it was just like within the first month, I knew. I say at 2 weeks, I knew something was wrong.
Right.
Well, I don't want to say wrong because pregnant, but I was like, something's wrong within me because something's, and I started to panic. Well, I told him and he dumped me. Yeah.
Oh.
He took off and I didn't see him for quite a few months. And
so how far in did you tell him? Did you tell him right away?
I told him immediately.
Okay.
Yeah. And especially after my first cycle that I missed, I was like, yeah, this is it.
And you'd been dating for how long?
Oh, see, that part I don't remember. I mean,
Probably a few months.
It'd been quite a few months.
Okay.
And so he broke up with me and I was devastated.
Oh my God.
At 10th grade, I'm just like devastated. And so in order to kind of, throw everybody off, I guess, like I went on another date, and I remember coming home for curfew, and there was this weird car in my driveway. And I was like, and it was like Halloween time. And I was like, who is that? And so I get out of the car, and I go into the house, and there he sits. And it was him and a friend of his were sitting there talking to my parents. And I was like, I walk in the house, and I immediately got sick, and I had to go throw up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was bad. And we walked outside, and he was asking me a bunch of questions like, has your mom found out? And I said, well, you're living, so no.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so he was like, well, I want to try to work things out, blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't see him again until January. And by mid-January, I'm 7.5 months pregnant at this point.
Oh my gosh.
And my mom says, at Christmas, my mom had said, Jamie, if I didn't know any better, you like 6 months pregnant. And I was like, you're crazy.
What were you thinking was going to be the end game? Like trying to hide this. What was going through your mind thinking? Were you thinking you were going to be able to hide it till the end?
Well, I think I had hoped.
Let's keep in perspective. You're 15.
Right. But I wasn't the first 15-year-old to have a baby.
Right. And I'm not
back in the day.
I'm not saying putting a number. I'm saying for your mindset, you had a 15-year-old brain.
Right.
Trying to reconcile this major thing happening.
Oh, it rocks your world. And I was thinking, okay, well, one of the first things that I thought is, I need to take, care of myself. Because I wasn't going to the doctor, and I don't promote that at all. But, at 15 years old, I'm not driving myself. And so I walked a lot, and, I tried to eat right and everything. And I did really well as far as that goes. But in my mind, I just kept thinking, and I want to say that I want to deny that I thought this, but I thought if I don't think about it or if I don't tell anyone, it'll go away and it won't.
Well, I can see that. I can totally understand that.
But it was just trying to, I don't know how long I thought I could hold out.
Right.
But it was just like going through it. That I felt alone.
Oh, and that hurts my heart.
Like tremendously alone. Like I don't think I've ever felt more alone in my life.
Did you come close to telling a friend?
No.
Mm-mm. You're always so private though.
About a lot of things.
Yeah. I feel like you feel like, you can keep it in, but that hurts my heart that you were by yourself.
Yeah. And so that January when my parents found out, he came over and I physically got ill again. And so, my mom put 2 and 2 together after he left, and she was livid at me. And my dad was disappointed in me. They both were disappointed. And so he came over the next day, and I went to get up off of the couch because I heard his car pulling. And I went to get off the couch, and she said, sit your ass down, gritted teeth and everything. And I thought, okay, all right. And I sat there with my face in my hands, and he came in, and he basically said that he wasn't ready to be a father and he wasn't going to be around. And she told him to get out and don't come back.
Bye.
Yeah. And so she was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I don't know. And at the time, her childhood friend, they were best friends since childhood, had several miscarriages. And so she called her, and she and her husband came up, and she just was crying. And and I hate to sound like, she was like, please let me have the baby. And I was like, okay,
You're 15.
I'm 15.
You don't know what's happening.
But I did.
Right.
But because, and I say that God intervened simply because you've been pregnant. So that the bond that's there,
Mm-hmm.
He never allowed that to happen. There was never, I knew I had to take care of myself to take care of what I was growing,
right?
Of who I was growing, but I didn't, And so, I think the whole time I was being prepared, for adoption.
Well, and you're so focused on keeping it a secret too. You weren't really focused on what's actually happening,
right?
Yeah.
It was so weird because I can remember like being in the bathtub. and watching my stomach. And it just like, I was like, what is going on?
Oh my gosh.
Like, calm down, and I mean, it was just the weirdest thing for me, And so, I went to the doctor and everything was well, everything was good. And, I did get fussed at, obviously, for, keeping it a secret and everything. And, the adoptive parents, we started Lamaze. They, did the whole thing. We went and met with a lawyer, and they served papers. This, to what I remember now, this is just my memory,
right?
And he denied ever knowing me, essentially. And so
He's
they
a
couldn't.
great guy, great guy.
But so we couldn't get any medical records or anything. Mm-hmm. So we don't, there was the what if on that side. And I can remember going into it thinking, all right, well, this is just how it's going to be. And, all of that. And everything was fine. And everything was fine and good up until I had him. Mm-hmm. And that's, because I thought the worst thing was me being pregnant.
Right.
Not the worst thing. Yeah. Not the worst thing by far. I mean, I remember going into labor, and but I didn't know that that's what it was.
Right.
Because it wasn't like at the movies.
No. Your water didn't splash.
No. No, I mean, I just had some uncomfortable issues,
right.
Like I was like, oh, this feels weird. Like I felt weird the whole day before, and my cousin was getting married.
Right.
And I made a joke out of it saying, I don't want to break out in labor during her wedding.
Right.
And Mom said, what do you think's going to happen? What does break out in labor mean? I said, well, I don't want to break out in labor. Like,
break out in labor.
And so I didn't go to her wedding, but it's because I was preparing.
Right.
And so we went to the hospital. I want to say we went to the hospital. I don't even know what time, but I was only in labor 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had no epidural.
Wow.
His adoptive mom was in the room. My mom was in the room, and they were made aware, that, that she's the adoptive mom, everything goes through her at this point once he's out.
Okay.
And we didn't know it was a he, I don't think.
How did you feel about all that? Like, did you have dread about that part, or just felt transactional? I
think, and I have a weird ability to do, and I don't know if it's because of, because you've talked about how sometimes I'm really private. I have the ability to cut off emotionally if something gets too intense, or if I don't. It feels
a little PTSD like. Do you feel like you might have that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's carried on.
Okay.
I can tell it, that it's carried on. But I think because I didn't know what to expect,
right. Because
I didn't know anybody who had a baby.
Right.
So I didn't know what the pain was going to be like. Of course I've heard, but, yeah, that was traumatic.
Wow. I bet.
But, but you really forget about it after it's over.
Yeah, you do.
And
otherwise you would not have another one.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I remember some friends of mine coming to and some people came to see me at the hospital and everything. And he was born when I was still 15.
Okay.
The very next day, I get to leave the hospital on my 16th birthday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so, I thought we were done.
Right.
But this bothered me more than actually, because the lawyer came to to the hospital. We signed the paperwork there.
Right.
He had to stay because they did circumcisions and everything at the hospital during that time frame. And so I got to come home. Well, the hospital made me come back the next day. So it was the 22nd, I think. And I had to go up to the nursery, and I had to come down the elevator with them, and I had to step off of the curb at the hospital. They handed him to me, and then I had to hand him to them.
Okay.
But at that time, it was already done. It was legally, it was done.
Right.
So that bothered me way more.
Right.
And that's
it's almost like they forced you into an uncomfortable.
And I felt like that.
Right. Like we are good. Me and the adoptive mom are good. Why are you forcing this to be awkward?
Legally, he's not mine.
Right. So when you're in there and you're getting checked out no regrets. You're still fully on board with him being adopted.
Right now?
No. When you're in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. No regrets. You're not having second thoughts at all.
No.
Okay.
Never.
And then from the time, when do you feel like people in school found out about it? Was it after?
It was after my parents found out. People
Okay.
started to, yeah. And there were whispers.
Yeah.
And you can tell, I could tell it, but it wasn't like a huge deal because I was only out of school 4 days.
Right.
Because I had him and then we were off for spring break.
Oh, nice.
So when I came back, it was just kind of old news.
Right. Wow. And did you feel like the teachers were judging you, anything like that? Or did you feel like you had their support? Or just indifferent?
I didn't care.
Just indifferent.
I didn't care about them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I just blocked it all out.
Right.
Because I'm sure that there were some things, and I know some people said some things because, it did bother me.
Right.
But as I've gotten older, I had to really, because I didn't just deal with it then. I dealt with it for 11 years after.
Right.
And just people would say, people are insensitive and a lot of times you don't realize what you say.
Right.
And it's already out there and you can't take it back. And, but I don't recall a teacher, but I know students.
Yeah.
And, 10th grade was not my finest half hour.
No. So you come back, you've had a baby,
Mm-hmm.
you've given it up for adoption. Mm-hmm. Other people have been at Myrtle Beach for spring break.
Right.
You've dealt with all that.
Mm-hmm.
And you just come back to school.
Yep.
And nothing's happened.
Like nothing ever happened.
Wow.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I just want to, I just wish I could flash back and just go put you on my lap.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But it had to happen.
I know.
It had to happen.
It was part of your journey.
It was.
You would not be who you are.
Absolutely.
But it did not make it any easier.
No, it didn't. It didn't. Especially because, I did it again. I'm like the person
Say
who does,
what?
I'm like Murphy's Law. Isn't that what Murphy's Law is? Like what's the definition of Murphy's Law? If it's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. Like, I don't get by with things.
Right.
That's why I don't like to lie.
Yeah.
Because then you got to cover up for that lie and that lie.
Right.
You're just going to get found out.
Right.
That's just how it is.
Oh my gosh. So you wrap up 10th grade.
Right.
You start 11th grade.
Right. Now, in the midst of this, let me just say that I'm carrying guilt for my parents because when he was born, and I didn't know this at the time, when he was born, the birth parents have a year to change their mind. So what really upset me was the fact that, because when I say that we saw them every week, we had cookouts, and from the time I was little, we saw them all the time. It abruptly stopped when he was born.
Okay.
So I not only altered my life, but I altered my parents' lives.
They lost these people.
Yes. And I carried the guilt for that for quite some time.
Did the people feel like they had to do that?
Yes.
So you wouldn't be like, oh my God, he's so cute, I want him back?
It was their choice.
Okay.
They didn't want us to come around because they were afraid that I would want him to take and raise him.
Okay.
But it was never an option.
Right.
Not for me.
Right. Wow. And so it wasn't an open adoption where you were hanging out with him on his birthdays.
We could have.
You could
We could have. There was an
Okay.
agreement that if I ever had other children or they had children, or they would always use the word adoption.
Mm-hmm.
He would always know that he's adopted, but nothing would ever be said unless he asks, who are my parents? Who are my birth parents?
Okay.
And there were supposed to be courtesy calls.
Okay.
There wasn't.
So how often did you see him?
Not very much at all, really. I had no interest of going down there because I carried the guilt.
Right.
I felt like for the longest time that I killed my parents' friendships.
But they wouldn't want you to carry that.
No, and my parents didn't know I felt that
Right.
way. And I was an adult before they found out that I felt that way. And, but I carried that guilt for quite some time.
Wow. And so I mean, do you ever see him now?
No, I've chosen to cut off ties.
Okay.
Yeah. There was some manipulative and some deceitfulness and some things that were said to my mother.
Okay.
And I've just
cut it off.
He hurt my daughter's feelings.
Oh.
Quite a few times before too. And I've just, for everybody's sake, and for the sake that I don't have to deal with it. I'm an adult. He's an adult. I don't have to be a part of it. And
were his parents good to him?
His parents were phenomenal to him.
Okay, so he has nothing.
Because he was born and then she got pregnant and carried full term.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she has Irish twins at this point.
Happens.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So during that time, like if you look back, like when somebody loses a child, you know, God only gives us what we can handle, which I think is the worst thing you could say to somebody when they've just lost a child. No, that's not true. What do you feel like are some of the things that were said to you? Do you even remember that you were like, or he's better off, something like that?
Oh, people even say that now if they hear about it. They'll go, oh, well, he was so much better off because you didn't know what you were doing. Well, I knew what I was doing enough to make an adult decision at 15 years old.
Right.
You know, I knew enough within myself what my limitations were.
Right.
And, I mean, people can just be really crass. And the one thing that I never understood is this happened to me. I would think I was 18 or 19 and I was working at this place in Stanley and a woman cornered me in the bathroom and my mom and my sister were there at the same time. And, a woman cornered me in the bathroom and I don't even know what she was saying, but I know it was something about adoption and how could I do that? And my mom happened to walk in.
Ooh, thank the
and
Lord.
My mom held the door up and she says, go on out. And I don't know what she said to the woman, but I mean, because, you know, I don't mind confrontation.
Right.
I mean, if it's got to be said, it's got to be said. And a lot of for me, it's what you see is what you get.
Right.
And don't ask my opinion if you don't really want the truth.
Yeah.
Because you might not like it.
Yeah.
But sometimes when it comes to that, people that have never been through it, they don't know how hurtful it can be.
Right.
You know, and it's not that I'm like poor, pitiful Jamie. It's not that at all. It's just that, you know, I had to make some decisions, some grown woman decisions at 15.
Yep. And a lot of times people just don't know what to say and they're trying to fill the void and they just say the wrong thing, you know?
Right.
And it's like, they're not meaning to be offensive, but they just fill the void with the wrong words.
Right.
Oh my, I remember that movie Juno.
Yes.
And the ultrasound tech said, and she said, we're giving the baby up for adoption. Well, thank God for that.
Right.
And that mom just creamed her.
Oh, she went off.
I love that so much. I'm like, who are you to judge our situation? And that's the thing is like, you know, we have friends who's had daughters who have had babies early and, you know, we're in a small town and they're worried about what everybody's going to say. And it's like, then you watch those mamas thrive with those babies and you're like, that's all you needed to say because they are doing it. They chose a path that was a little bit harder, a lot harder than going from A to Z in a clear shot.
Right.
They chose to, you know, take the side road a bit, but then you see them thriving and you're like, you know what? That's all the story you need to tell.
That's it.
And stay out of my business.
That's it. It costs $0 to mind your own business.
It's zero. So, all right. So did you get pregnant again in the 11th or the 12th grade?
12th grade.
Okay.
Yeah. 11th grade was normal.
Yeah.
11th grade was normal. And you know, I did normal teenage stuff.
Okay.
I played softball. It was the one year I played a sport at the old EG.
Yep.
And, then 12th grade, like I started dating my daughter's, him. I'll just call him him. I started dating him. And I think I was in the 11th grade and then I got pregnant and, cause like I said, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. And one of the things that I found really funny is that these, you know, some females that we went to school with that had really loose reputations.
Yeah.
Talked about me.
Right. I know.
And I'm like, I just get busted, you know. But let's not talk about what you did.
Right. Because there's people that had gotten pregnant and taken care of it in a different path.
Well, and I only know, I think of one person that maybe did. Well,
Right.
no, two people that did that, I think. And, that's traumatic all in
It
itself.
is traumatic.
And why put me down?
Right.
But
it's your path to choose.
Right.
I'm not
right.
judging you. Right.
Right.
So yeah, and I know it's difficult because you got all these people talking their junk. I mean, during this, were you not taking precaution or were you just
I was abstaining.
Abstaining.
Yeah.
And then you met Mr. Right Now.
Yeah.
And
who I thought, I was infatuated with him. Oh,
Yeah.
I was infatuated. Mullet and all.
Mullet, baby. Curly mullet.
Woo, no.
Woo.
And slouch boots. What?
Shut your mouth.
What?
All he needed was a chow, and it.
He had one at one point,
Shut
though.
your mouth.
Later on, I'm just saying. But yeah, he and I don't even know what it was about him.
Yeah.
But sure enough, yeah. And so that, at that point when I said because everyone knew quickly at that point because I didn't hide it. And I got a lot of, I can't hang out with you anymore because my parents don't agree.
But pregnancy is contagious.
Yes.
Everybody.
It is.
Yeah.
Don't drink the water.
It rubs off.
Yeah.
Teen pregnancy.
Now, and if I'm not mistaken, there was a support group at our school and that had 10 females pregnant at one time.
Wow.
I want to
okay.
say there was 10 of them at that point. Yeah. It was, yeah. Because it wasn't just me.
Right.
But it did happen to me twice.
Yeah.
Let's just.
Well, and you would see in the yearbook the night school pictures. Did they ask you to go to night school?
No. But as in our senior year, I don't know if you remember, but I was the senior class vice president, and they did want to take that away from me.
Okay.
And but that didn't happen either.
No.
Because it was not a good look, I guess, for East Gaston.
Well, we were really about the image.
Woo. If
our football team.
We were good our senior year.
Yeah, our senior year football team.
Yeah.
Not dogging you fellas. Y'all did great.
Whoop whoop. But there was some of that, I can't talk to you anymore and stuff. And so learning who your friends are.
Yeah.
At 17 years old, 18 years old. That's not really a lesson that you learn.
Nope.
Not in 1993.
No.
So but I just had to, it was how do I put it? I had to physically force myself to walk into school every day and keep my head up.
Mm.
And had it not been for, because you were a big part of my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
You dated my best guy friend of my whole life.
Yep.
And you didn't treat me different,
No.
But it was difficult.
Yeah.
It was difficult. But
what month was she born?
She was born in April. And it was
so
right. It was at spring break again.
You had the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
You're baking that baby your whole senior year, basically.
That's it. I sure did.
And you went out and had a baby over spring break when, again, we're
Again.
all at the beach, living our best life. And here you are, like making really
another grown decision.
But
it was really different this time, though, because from the moment I found out, like, my world was in my stomach.
Yeah.
That was it. I knew that, I didn't know she was a girl, but I knew that was that.
Did you find out she was a girl before she was born?
I don't know. I can't remember if I did or didn't.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Odd. It was not as easy to find out. Like the ultrasounds were not quite as surefire. Yeah. I remember coming to see you when she was born.
You did?
And getting to hold her.
Mm-hmm. And you even came to my house.
I did.
Yep.
And I just remember, like not even being able to relate with what you were going through. Like it was on a different level.
And you want to know what what I thought was the dumbest thing of my senior year is towards that even time frame, a few months, like a month after I had her or whatever, a few weeks maybe, in sociology or psychology 1, they wanted us to take care of an egg.
Oh, good grief.
I'm like, I have a kid.
Right.
Can I not just write down what I do for her?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, you have to take care of either this 5-pound sack of flour or an egg. That egg sat up on top of my on the top of the TV. I didn't mess with that egg. I did not have time to mess with that egg.
So when your parents found out you're pregnant, which was a lot sooner.
Oh, yes.
Was there any discussion of adoption then?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Like you were like, no, this baby,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
my dad didn't
connected.
speak to me for 2 weeks.
Ah.
That killed me.
Oh,
That I can remember. I don't
Yeah.
remember him saying anything hateful or hurtful, or anything. But I mean, I don't know that he could just deal with it. But my mom, she just kind of just rolls with it,
wow. I just can't even. So,
But let me tell you, my dad is the biggest kid I've ever met. And that baby, when she came to this world, holy cow.
he was rotten.
Oh, he says he's got them right where he wants them, but that's a complete lie.
Yeah.
They have him right where they want him.
How many kids does your sister have?
She has 2.
And they're, how much younger?
Well, my oldest niece is 4 years older than my daughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then because between me, my sister, and it's funny because my niece is 28. No, she's not 4 years. She's 2 years older than my daughter.
Okay.
So my oldest niece is 28. My daughter's 26. My sister's nephew is 24.
Okay.
And then her youngest one is 22.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're all 2 years apart, which is
Nice.
hilarious. But the coolest thing is my sister actually went on second shift, I think it was, my senior year, because she had my oldest niece. And so she watched my daughter while I went to school for 4
Wow.
hours.
And
my
you
senior year.
graduated. That was like you did your
Yeah.
thing. You finished up.
Yeah, I did. I graduated. Mm-hmm.
Was quitting an option?
No.
No, because you're so close.
I mean, I always loved school, except
Yeah.
I hated high school. And
Yeah.
it was because of choices that I did. And
Right.
I don't know that I would have changed it
Yeah.
because I wouldn't be who I am today. But, that when people say, you don't know how strong you have to be until you go through it.
Yeah.
And God will never put you through something that that
I don't
saying
love
that you
that
said
saying.
that. But I'm like, how strong do I have to be? God,
Yeah.
what am I doing?
Right.
I questioned that for a long time.
Yeah.
Like how much stronger do I need to be?
Right.
Because I've done things some women will never go through.
Right.
And that's okay because not everybody is supposed to have that journey. But at 18,
Oh,
I mean, it was, I had made choices, and yes,
Right.
they're my choices.
Did-
But there's manipulation and coercion
Right.
and just out and out teen stupidity
yeah.
thrown in there.
So while you were pregnant, did the baby's daddy just tap out, or did he stick around for a while, or what?
he dated a girl we went to school with while I was pregnant.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
classy.
It
move.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't talk for a while. My mom threatened him and he broke up with me. So, but we were broken anyway. And so, he had asked me to make sure I call him when I went into labor. And, it was 3 a.m. I think we got to the hospital at 2, and I think it was 3 a.m. and I called and his mom
Right.
answered, and I asked for him, and she said, he's in the bed. Who is this? And I said, well, why don't you just tell him I'm in labor? And I hung up.
Right.
And that was at 3 a.m. She was born at 6:13 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yet again, no epidural.
Yeah. You crank them out.
Well, I mean, ain't no sense get out. It's like I served eviction papers. Get
Yes.
out.
Yes.
And you can't, I just don't understand these 36 hours. I just
No.
can't do it.
I was like,
Get out.
like 7 or 8, but that's like from the first contraction
Right.
till like showtime.
But see, even when I got to the hospital, I just was uncomfortable. I mean,
Right.
it wasn't hurting because I
Yeah.
was like, can I just put my clothes on and go back home? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
But, so he didn't actually show up to the hospital though until 9, I think. It was like 9 or something like that. And, I was rude. Oh, I was rude.
Yeah.
I was snarky, sarcastic. I mean, I was Jamie.
Yeah. Has he been involved like on and off, or?
There was a period where he was a really good father.
Yeah.
There was a period of time, but he made some choices,
Mhm.
and he made choices over her. And I never kept him from seeing her.
Right.
Because I didn't want to be the mom that, I never wanted her to be able to say, well, you kept me from my father.
Right.
Well, no, I didn't. And they find out.
Right.
People show who they really are.
Yeah.
And kids are intuitive. When she got pregnant with my granddaughter, she said, Mom, I'm afraid that we won't have the relationship that you and I have.
Oh, please.
And I said, let me tell you. And I said, here's the thing. And so I said, kids love to get stuff. They love to have stuff bought for them. And I said, but the way a child measures love is investment of time.
Yeah.
If you invest in her, if you spend time with it, all you have to do is spend time with them, get to know them, be interested in them.
Listen.
Be there.
Yeah, be there. And I think, you and your daughter are like just cut from the
we
same.
Are peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, y'all just go together.
Mm-hmm.
And she's so fun.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and she's so beautiful, and she's a great mom.
She really is. And that's my legacy.
Yeah.
And
she loves Harry Potter.
She loves Harry Potter.
So, what can be wrong with her?
Metallica and Harry Potter, what do you do with that?
Yeah, exactly. So
I said, and it's funny because I've always said, well, if I did one thing right, my kid knows good music.
Yeah.
But I made a lot of tough decisions.
Yeah.
But to me, it's nothing. I look back at it now and I'm like, but going through it was rough.
It was rough.
But I came out the other side so much.
Yeah.
I think better.
Yeah. I think so too.
Because she saved me.
Yeah.
My
and
kid,
you grew up together.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. How long did you live with your mom and dad after she was born? Till you had your own place with her?
Well, just me and her.
Yeah.
Because I had gotten married, and everything. And then we moved back in with my parents and stuff. But I want to say it was, she might have been 9 or 10.
Okay.
And we were so poor,
Yeah.
And I say we were
being poor builds character, I think.
Oh, but I'm telling you, some of the best times we had was in this 2-bedroom trailer.
Yeah.
Oh, my word. When we moved out, we found marshmallows from where we had had a marshmallow fight.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And she had the most uncanny sense of distance with whipped cream. She could throw whipped cream and hit me in the eye. It was ridiculous. But we've had some of the best times.
Yeah.
And even now we get to where we laugh until we're just about to cry.
Right.
She is a blessing.
Yeah.
And do you remember, did you go to we had a senior breakfast our senior year?
I feel like
or it was the year after or something.
Yeah.
And I brought her.
Yeah.
And somebody said something smart about it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I went off. You know me.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, she was a bigger part of my year than you were. So she's got every right to be here.
Mind your business. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, people.
Yeah.
So, as you survived,
yeah.
Because it was a journey.
Mm-hmm.
You got 2 grandbabies now.
Mm-hmm.
She's happy.
Mm-hmm.
She picked a good guy.
She did.
And it got you to where you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you could go back and think about those times and somebody that might be going through something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to them? Like, what would you say? What advice would you give?
Well, and I have to say that I didn't always look to God for things.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that religion or spirituality is something for everybody, but God has a way of getting your attention.
Yeah.
And God has a way of using people to help you along the way.
Right.
If you're opening up enough to it. And I wasn't.
Yeah.
But what I would say to somebody is, whatever your spiritual self says, whoever it is that you talk to, I personally, believe in Jesus, and I can see his hand in it the whole time.
Right.
And I have to give him the glory for it.
Right.
But there has to be somebody that you can talk to. It doesn't have to be, and parents are going to get upset, but it doesn't have to be a parent.
Right.
It can be,
because some parents don't make it easy
Right.
to talk to them.
Right.
So we understand that not everybody has a mom that you can go talk to, you know?
It's true. I mean, but there's somebody. Everybody has one person.
Yes.
You know, their Grey's Anatomy person, I
Yeah.
guess. You know, and just be honest. But the first thing but here's one of the things that I realized later on, because there's a lot of things that I've gone through since then, stemming from, you know, my teenage years. You got to let go of the anger.
Yeah.
Because it will creep up on you, because you don't realize that shame and guilt and things like that are cousins of anger.
Right.
And you have to process what you're going through in the moment. Don't carry it. That was a huge thing for me, because I carried, you know, I told you for 11 years, I carried the fact that I said I killed my parents' friendship with that adoptive family, but I didn't. They chose that.
They did.
And they took 11 years of that.
Right.
You know, it took me 11 years to come to grips with it. And so, you know.
And think about it. They were the older, more mature ones.
Right.
Right.
Right. But there has to be a way of, you know, forgiveness is hard, but forgiving yourself is almost impossible.
Yeah.
You have to be able to forgive yourself and know that it's, and I say it so blasé, but it's a season. It'll pass.
Yeah.
It's not forever. Pain doesn't last forever.
Yep.
You know, it always doesn't hurt the same way. The hurt is always there, but it doesn't always hurt the same way.
Right.
But it will pass. And
it will pass.
It will pass.
There are times, you know, in my childhood, and we won't go down that valley today, but my relationship that I have with my dad is coming to terms that he's not going to be the person that people dream about having a dad, right?
Right.
He's not going to be that Leave It to Beaver picture perfect dad, but me letting go of what I wanted him to be and taking what he was able to give me, that right there was all I needed, because now I'm just like, hey, we just talk about movies and TV and, you know, I'll go have breakfast with them and, you know, we'll just enjoy each other's company, and that's just fine. But sometimes you just have to, and especially like in your situation, like that's not what you had dreamed about.
Right.
But taking what was given to you and making the very best life out of it. And look where you ended up. Plus, like now you have a child that's fully raised. You're getting to enjoy grandbabies. I'm still schlepping along with the soccer mobile.
That's what it's true. It's like my kid can babysit your kids.
Yes. You either pay now or you pay later. Right.
It's true.
So
it's true.
you paid now.
And I don't really feel like, you know, at the time you think you're missing out on something in your early 20s and you're going like, I don't really feel like I missed out on that.
You just missed out being a skank at the club. And there wasn't much fun.
I mean, I still did some of that, you know, but I had to go home and take care of a kid. So like she would go to her dad's on Saturday nights, and man, I lived it up from Saturday night to Saturday at 5 to Sunday at 5.
I didn't get a damn wink of sleep. Shoot, I went out when my babies were like 2 and 4. I went to the Jimmy Buffett concert, and I got toe up from the flow up. And then, I mean, this was mid-30s, I guess, for me. And I got up the next morning and I couldn't function. And guess what? I still had to take care of them.
That's it.
And I was like, I'm never doing this again. And I really don't, you know, I'll have me a couple of Bud Lights and just catch me a nice fine buzz, but enough to put me to sleep. And I wake up feeling good the next morning. I don't have it in me to get tore up anymore. So,
I mean, you know, I can't, there's no way. I mean, I make fun of it. I say I can't drop it like it's hot, but I can dip it like it's warm. No, I can't. Because then I can't walk the next day.
Girl.
Or, you know, I might can party like a 20-year-old, but I recover like a 60-year-old.
You know, we'll do some karaoke.
Listen, your karaoke. I don't know, y'all. One of these days, you're gonna have to get her to sing "Gangsta's Paradise."
Oh, we should do that as the lead-in to this podcast. That is my credo, yo.
We just have to have Dee fall out of the swing chair.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. So that was Jamie and I went on a girls' trip to the Dirty Dancing Festival.
Terrible festival.
Terrible festival.
Phenomenal weekend.
Fun company.
Yes.
We were with girls, our really good friend from high school, Emily, and her friends, and they were very sweet and very, what's the word I'm looking, welcoming.
They were.
And wild. They're kind of wild.
Very wild.
Yeah.
Get one sip of wine and these ladies go crazy.
No. So that was a really fun weekend. We need to do that again. So
Double D was our designated driver.
Oh, God bless him. God bless him.
That was a good time.
Oh, yeah. Now that one
time.
I didn't feel great the next day. I'm not going to lie.
No, because you were a day drinker.
Yeah, I'm a day drinker.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we carried on a little late for my taste.
Yeah, well, I thought we were going to break the deck.
Oh,
because all of the line dancing. You were in the bed.
Oh, okay.
There was a lot of line dancing, some stomping going on.
Some line dancing.
Yeah.
Who knew line dances?
I mean, we had to. I think we were playing it off of an iPad.
Did you have a microphone with your iPad?
No, I didn't.
We were just karaokeing right off of that. That always reminds me of the indoor track coach karaoke. Because he would tell us to do those, where you go side to side, and those are called karaoke.
Really?
Yeah. Where you pivot, you're running in front and the back, and he would call those the karaoke. So.
Oh, I mean, you hit me with that out of nowhere.
What?
The Gangsta's Paradise,
honey,
I mean, out of nowhere.
Oh, my God. It's my credo.
I think I was crying. I was laughing so hard. I really did.
I would love to do karaoke.
Oh, I love it.
I know.
I love it.
I've got some real tunes under my belt, sister. I got a lot of showmanship.
And you sang at our 20-year high school reunion.
Oh.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, yes, I did.
I said, somebody gave that girl a mic.
Oh, what was I singing?
I don't remember, but it was loud and funny. I loved it.
Eric, I think, got some on video. Oh, my God. That was a fun night.
It was.
Now that's a good example.
Yeah.
I feel like for those of you that are moving out of high school, your 5-year reunion, you're still pretending that you're trying to be somebody. 10-year, you're also still trying to prove yourself. 20-year, the ship has sailed. You don't care. You do not care. You're just letting it all hang out.
Dude, I had a room at that at the Holiday Inn, and everybody was like, "We're going out here after party," and I'm like, "No, I'm going to bed." That's what I'm doing.
Oh, my Lord!
I went upstairs and went to bed. I took one of them blue cupcakes and went upstairs.
Oh, my God!
Yeah, I couldn't. I just don't. I like to sleep, and when I can sleep, I do. Because the insomnia is incredible. But
I know that's something you get with age. Isn't that great? That's a great little gift. Yeah.
I mean, as if chin hair ain't enough.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Well, I am so glad you came on.
Thank you for having me.
Was a crazy, incredible story to tell.
Thank you.
I don't remember us walking through this in our grown-up life at this level. I don't remember all this. And it just makes me so... I just wish I could have been smart enough to do more back then, but I'm just glad you're here and everything is good and you got these beautiful grandbabies and you got a great healthy relationship with your daughter.
I do.
And she's amazing. So,
I mean, I have a wonderful family.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for my family, I couldn't have done, really anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I just love you to pieces.
Well, I love you too.
I'm glad you're here. All right. Well, that was it for today. All right. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back next week.
Have you heard of Happy Coffee? Well, make your morning routine happier and smarter with Elevate Coffee. Elevate your mornings even further with new Elevate Nitro Coffee. Elevate Nitro relies on clinically improving ingredients packed into a delicious, high-quality blend. Each cup of Elevate Nitro helps generate efficient blood flow, boost nutrient and oxygen delivery, naturally improves fatigue and performance, and increases energy and endurance. Kickstart your routine with Elevate Nitro, the smarter coffee way to start your day. To learn more about this and other products available through Elevate, please visit my independent Ellepreneur website at www.homegirlgethappy.com. That's www.homegirlgethappy.com to learn more.